Hey everybody, we're back and we're going to look at this lovely Christmas design. Each nail's a little bit different. There's a candy cane and a Christmas tree, some glitter, and a sweater nail. Hope you enjoy. The first thing I always do is shorten the length of all of my sets when I'm doing a fill. I find if you shorten your sets first, it'll save you so much time after you go to thin out. The only time I don't really do this is if it's a really extreme shape and they're not taking very much length off. So you can see me here. Now I'm removing all the bulk. I like to use my E-file bit. It's a carbide bit. It's a safety bit, so it's curved on the top, so you don't have to worry about hurting anybody's cuticles. I only use my carbide bit on the actual nail enhancement. I never use a carbide bit on a natural nail. It's just a little bit too aggressive. So I go through all of the nails that I'm taking off from her old set. I actually did record this set as well, but unfortunately the positioning wasn't in the right spot and I recorded just our arms. So I've gotten a little bit better at filming over the last month. I also like to do everything in the exact same pattern every time. I find that that gives me consistency with my sets and make sure that I don't miss any steps. You don't want to forget to top coat one nail. Then I go through and I just shape the nails by hand using a hand file. I just find you get the best shape with a hand file. You can't really get it 100% with the E-file. So now I'm going in with my E-file with a sanding band. I just use a medium band. I don't need very much more than that. I'm using no pressure because I am touching the natural nail and you want to make sure to preserve as much as the natural nail as possible. You're basically just removing the shine. So I'm just really carefully just feathering, going in, blending, and at the same time removing any skin that's stuck to the nail plate. I always, even before this, I've pushed back the cuticles. I always push back the cuticles, but I don't trim them until I'm completely done. Filing, I find if you leave them there, then you're less likely to, injure your client. And usually by the time you're done filing, you don't really need to remove any tissue because you only want to remove tissue if it's like an actual hangnail. Okay, and I always go in and kind of just hand file around the cuticle as well. I just find it, make sure that you don't get any lifting. So here I'm going through with my diamond bit. I switched hands because the view that I took of the other nail didn't really work out. So I just go in and just carefully go around the cuticle and just make sure that there's no skin, no residue, that you have a perfectly good system. Then I wipe with isopropyl alcohol, and if you can see, I'm using quite a bit of pressure. It's super important to use a lot of pressure to remove any dust particles and oil residue. Then I primed with my Ugly Duckling primer. Love that stuff. And now I am using my bonder, which is X-Bond by Accents. I really like it. I like that it comes in a nail polish bottle, so you don't have to use your paintbrush. and just a nice thin coat. And you can see I always tilt the fingers down when I'm working. That stops the cuticle from flooding. Now I'm applying my hard gel. I like to let the gel do the work. So you can see I apply one, not thin, but not thick coat, just the perfect amount. And then I allow it to do the leveling for me. If you're not as fast as me, you can do 1 or 2 nails at a time. With an LED lamp, it's not going to take you any longer if you do 2 nails or 3 nails. You can also see that I'm using my fingernails and I'm going in, I'm removing anything that could be floating onto the cuticle. So gel will follow gel. So if you touch the cuticle at all with the bonder, when you go to do this step, it's going to run and follow the same spot. That's the same thing with what you're doing right now. So you just want to make sure that you're wiping it off the cuticle right away. So here I'm applying this beautiful glitter from OPI's Christmas collection. I just love it. It's holographic. It's just beautiful. And I like to do 2 coats of that. I wasn't really sure where I was going to go with these nails because my client let me do whatever I wanted, but always having glitter is a good idea. So here I'm applying a thin coat of white. White can be really, really, really difficult. This is the artistic white. I think it's called Bride. It's okay, but I'm really excited when I finally am out of it to try the OPI. Because as you know, I love OPI gel polishes, and I'm hoping the white is just as good. So whenever you're using a high pigmented color, you always want to make sure that you're doing really, 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 really thin coats so that you don't get any wrinkling. And white will show every single imperfection on the nail. So you can see a little bit on this one. There's a tiny little bit of a hump. But once you put the top coat on, that'll totally go away. And I know that I'm putting art over these, so I have, a plan. Okay, so here I am adding some glitter. It's like a white snowflakey glitter from OPI's holiday collection. And I'm not curing it. I'm then taking some green and red gel polish, and I'm creating little lines that resemble a tree. So I'm starting bigger and going smaller as I work. This green is an IBD color. I'm not sure what it's called. And then I'm using an OPI red. I do mix products. It's not recommended by the manufacturer, so just make sure that you're careful with what you're doing. So you can see I'm adding the red in here. And then I'm creating the tree. So I take my tiny mosaic brush and I'm wiping it off. And then I'm pulling through the uncured gel towards the tip of the tree. And it's creating this beautiful little Christmas tree pattern. So here I am doing the same thing on the other nail. So just creating lines, and they don't have to be perfect and it doesn't need to be exact. It's the prettiness about hand painted art is that it's a little bit different and unique on each nail. And you just want to make sure you wipe your brush in between each time you drag through the wet gel polish so that you don't get weird spikes at the bottom. And here's my candy cane nails. I'm using the same mosaic brush and the red gel polish, and I'm just painting some beautiful little candy cane lines. And don't stress about your lines being perfect. It's okay if they're not. And here I'm adding some gold glitter, just to, you know, bring it out and try to tie the nails together into a Christmas theme. The trick to doing lines is you want to make sure your brush has quite a bit of paint on it. Then I'm going and adding the same gold on the top of the tree. And now we are top coating. I am using the Ugly Ducklings No Wipe Top Coat. I'm obsessed with it. It works amazing. I don't have any wrinkling, I don't have any shrinking, I don't have any pitting. It just works all the time, 100% of the time, no issues. It's one of my favorites. It's also really amazing for doing chrome nails. So I'm just top coating and making sure that it's all good. So now we're gonna do the sweater nail. So what I've done is I've taken a thicker sealer, so the type of sealer that say comes in a jar. And I'm just painting the design of a sweater nail. I find that the straight lines with a little bit of like an S pattern seem to work and give the best result. You also wanna make sure that you're doing each raised part a little bit far away because it, like I said, gel will follow gel. So if you go too close together or try to do too much of the pattern at once, it'll bleed together. I know this is extremely hard to see as it's white, but I'm hopefully doing a good job of showing it to you. So then I take white acrylic powder from Ugly Ducklings and I'm actually pouring it onto the uncured top coat. So this nail has already been cured with a no wipe top coat, so it's not sticky anymore. And now I'm using just a regular thicker sealant to paint my design. And dump on the acrylic and tap it off. And then I will cure it for 30 seconds, dust it off, and then do the part in between. It's really important, don't do too much. So here I am again. Even if you were to make a mistake and you had to clean it up, that part, the acrylic would stick to. So you want to be as precise as possible so that you get the pattern that you want. So just some lines with some like S shape and V shapes seem to create the cute little pattern. You can do dots, you can do little V's. It really does depend on the size of the nail and how much nail you have to work with. And I'm dumping the acrylic powder on, dusting off the extra, and curing it in the lamp for 30 seconds. And there you go. That is how I did this Christmas theme set. I hope you enjoyed. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to post the next video.